instead of advocating for stopping the subsidies, we should advocate that safeguards should be put in place to make sure that the system is not abused and that culprits, when caught, are adequately dealt with as a deterrent to others. And then in the interim, we start a system whereby we will build the refineries and start refining the oil here in Nigeria, thereby not having to need to import it from outside. In fact, the fact that we import oil from different parts of the world, from Iraq, from whatever, you find that that has a direct negative effect on the vehicles we use in Nigeria, and then on the pollution, because the sulfur content varies from one country to the other. We import from all over the world without checks at all. So you stop the importation, right? And then you build refineries. There are compact refineries, very small refineries, compact refineries that you can build in different parts of the country. And then number 4, I think, is you diversify the economy so that we don't rely too much on the petroleum products, on crude oil. You diversify the economy to the point whereby we even become completely independent. We don't need crude anymore. Why don't you enhance our communications? Artificial intelligence, right? Why don't you enhance those? Why don't you enhance other areas, mining and stuff like that? All the minerals we have in Nigeria are properly documented. The relevant authorities know where all the minerals are. All the surveys have been done and documented. They only need to be dusted. So diversify the economy. Encourage, expand agricultural activities. Somebody was telling me the other day, I'm not sure of what he has told me, but I just want to relate it to you. You can verify it. Somebody told me the other day that foodstuffs, the prices of foodstuffs have dropped significantly now in the market. Somebody told me that, I don't know. Beans, maize, millet, local rice, all the prices have dropped significantly. In fact, it is as if the markets are choked up with food products. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been blessing us with rainfall in these past few years. Even this year, rains have fallen, alhamdulillah. So when you encourage citizens to go back to the land and farm, and then you give them all the incentives, you'll go a long way in, first of all, in providing employment and then feeding the nation to the extent whereby we do not need to import foodstuffs, and we may even start exporting. All right. So you diversify the economy. That's what I'm saying. Diversify the economy. Then number 5, when you want to remove the subsidies, if you insist on removing the subsidies, then you should specifically, the government that is, the government, if the government insists on removing the subsidies, then it must, as a matter of necessity, and responsibility. Explain to the citizens very clearly what it wants to do with the subsidies that have been removed from the petroleum products. Cushions must be provided. And that's one. And then secondly, what do you want to do with the subsidies that you have removed? The monies should be seen. That is when you recycle or you divert or you rotate. There should be a track record. We should be able to follow the footsteps of the monies, of the subsidies that you've removed from the petroleum products. We want to see tangible projects that will spring up as a result of those subsidies that have been removed. Or you distribute the money among the citizens. What is wrong with that? You give the citizens the money. What is wrong with that? Nigeria does not have a welfare package for its citizens, and it should have. So you let us know what you want to do. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. A situation should not be created whereby the subsidies have been removed, but then nobody knows where the money is go to. You remember the case of the Abacha loot? The Abacha loot. A lot of people are saying that the Abacha loot is being relooted. Right? When the Abacha loot is recovered and retrieved and brought back to Nigeria, you don't see it going back into the treasury. Some other people reloot it, so reluting the loot. This is what happens in Nigeria. So we should know where the monies are going. Right. Number 6, citizens should be able to access loans directly from government. I said this before, but I know some people will say this is lunacy, but that is how it should be. Presently, when the government wants to give loans to its citizens, it doesn't do it directly. It does it through commercial banks, still through the banks. You have to go to the bank to collect the loan. It shouldn't be like that. If the government wants to give loans to its citizens, it should be through its own bank, the central bank. The government should be the direct lender and at 0% interest. It should be like a support program, like a grant. This will lift the citizens out of poverty. And then there should be moratoriums. There should be respite provided to the citizens. They shouldn't start paying for the loans immediately after reception, after they receive them. The most important thing should be that the lender should be the government itself directly through its central bank, and the interest rate should be 0. This is very, very contrary to capitalism. The capitalists will not understand this. All right. Number 7, infrastructure. Infrastructure. Roads, so many other things. And then development plans, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year development plans. And number 8, we should have a partnership between an honest and dedicated leadership on the one hand and an enlightened and motivated followership on the other hand. There should be a partnership for development and progress between the leaders and the led. The leaders must be honest, must be dedicated, and the citizens, the led, must be highly enlightened and motivated. We don't want leadership by patronage, as it obtains in Nigeria today. We don't want leadership by godfatherism. We don't need godsons and godfathers. We need real leaders, morally sound, honest, dedicated, like I said. Then we need an educated and enlightened followership that is highly motivated and equal to the task, that can hold leaders to their responsibilities. We don't need fake leaders. We don't need artificial leaders. We don't need imposed leaders from the outside or from the inside. When you have these things acting in concert, then I think as an individual, humbly, that we can map out a strategy to lift ourselves collectively out of poverty in Nigeria. It is not the issue of subsidies alone. Subsidies could be a very, very insignificant contributory factor. But it is surely not the only culprit, not the sole culprit. And subsidies will definitely not push Nigeria into bankruptcy, like the EMIR of KANO was trying to suggest. There are factors and conditions that will actually push Nigeria into bankruptcy, and subsidies is not one of them, are not a part of those factors and conditions. Therefore, I submit humbly that the federal government of Nigeria should not listen to the EMIR of KANO on this issue, should not remove the subsidies, at least as at now. When you want to remove the subsidies, you have to do so many things. You have to do so many things to provide the conditions that will make the removal of the subsidies not painful to the citizens. The government should try as much as possible to put the welfare of the citizens in the front burner all the time. This issue, if the government takes the advice to remove the subsidies, it may actually be shooting itself in the foot. It may be a recipe for chaos, for unrest, for so many other bad consequences. So I would like to rest my case here and advise the federal government that it should not at all listen to the EMIR of KANO on this score. The subsidies should not be removed now. Of course, subsidies are bad if they are abused. But they are not the only reason, I repeat, they are not the only reason why we'll be sinking into poverty. let us leave Bill Gates to his opinions. We should look inwards, look at our own circumstances. In fact, people like Bill Gates and the West generally are very, very, very responsible for a lot of the problems we have in the southern part of the hemisphere of the world. They colonized us. They are still colonizing us. There are so many puppets imposed upon us. We hope the EMIR of KANO is not one of them. And then a lot of our resources are stolen, looted, and deposited in their countries. And when we go to retrieve those stolen properties, they are not given back to us until we forfeit a part of them to the federal and state governments of the countries in which those properties are deposited. So they don't mean us well, they don't mean us good. We should be very, very clear about this. I don't want to continue to be talking too much. I have made my case, and I will continue to talk about it, inshallah, anytime the opportunity avails itself to me. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.